Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is another thoughts on video. And in this video, I'm sharing my thoughts on a handful of projects by the YouTube channel Penalty of Death Productions. I was requested by Slayer to talk about three more projects that he worked on, and here we are. If there is another a topic, film, or TV show that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to either my PayPal, my Patreon, or my Cash App. The links to all three are in the video description down below, and I will try to get your requests as soon as I possibly can. Now, the three projects that I'm going to be discussing are Out in the Front of the Ritz Savoy, The Spider Gang, and The Third Law. Now, might as well start out in order here. So I'm going to start sharing my thoughts on Out in the Front of the Ritz Savoy. Then I'm going to go from there. So Out in the Front of the Ritz Savoy is a fan film and sort of sequel to a Twilight Zone episode called The Dummy from the original Twilight Zone television series. I actually was not that familiar with this episode, but the writer and the person behind this film did enough to uh, really allow me to get the gist of the short, so I wasn't completely lost. But I will say that I personally feel that this is a bit too long. I don't think that this needed to be like almost 50 minutes. There's a good portion of this that is just a rundown of what happened in the episode, and I don't think that's entirely necessary. Uh, at least not when it comes to the length of it in the short, because it takes up a good chunk of the short's running time. I honestly feel it would have been better and more compelling and a lot more interesting if it was just a quick little recap, and then the rest of it is a sequel. The rest of it is about the investigation into the disappearance of the ventriloquist and the mystery behind it, and so on and so forth. Because that's really where, in my opinion, the strongest parts of this short is in that portion of this particular short. This is something that does use a lot of AI generated imagery, and I get it. It's a way to provide some sort of visuals beyond just screenshots or footage from the Twilight Zone episode. But there were some times where I don't think the AI imagery really added that much to this, uh, and I definitely do feel that there wasn't enough for like almost an hour of a story, even with the AI generated imagery and with the sequel of sorts to the dummy. But I did like the creativity that was on display, though, especially when it comes to the parts that were going about an investigation where you had this reporter who starts investigating the dummy and what happened to Jerry, who was the ventriloquist, and trying to get to the bottom of this urban legend that he was replaced by his dummy, and then finding out that that was the case, and then he winds up becoming next, and he gets replaced by Jerry, and then also there's like a murder mystery that was thrown in there where the ventriloquist dummy who is now become human gets murdered by Jerry, who's a dummy, and there were definitely some things about this that I found to be intriguing and relatively well done. There's some good audio interviews, which I felt were a nice addition to the overall story and to the project. But at the end of the day, I just thought it was okay. It's not something I would probably watch again, but I would say if you're a fan of The Twilight Zone, especially the episode The Dummy, uh, it's worth at least one watch. The second project that I am going to talk about is The Spider Gang. And this one I really liked. This one was the right length, and I felt it was genuinely creepy and interesting and entertaining to listen to. This was very much like a creepy pasta or an urban legend, and it was about this group of giant spiders called the Jabba Fofi in this fictional a place called Trelao in Africa. I believe it was Africa, and it's chronicled all these different sightings throughout history and the conspiracies involving trying to cover up the giant spiders. And this was, in my opinion, genuinely good. Like I really was into this. I like cryptid stories. I like the unexplained and the unknown. And the writing for this was really solid. It actually, there was a lot of research, there was a lot of thought that was put into it. It actually sounded pretty legit, even though it was all made up. And the even the AI imagery I liked because there was a certain style to it that I felt really actually added to the short and made it better. And definitely made it a more engaging, interesting watch overall. And I mean, it's hard not to have a compelling horror story involving giant arachnids. I mean, and just the thought of them possibly actually being real, like man-sized spiders, living in the jungles, like that is something that makes my skin crawl. And I just felt it was a really entertaining, enjoyable, honestly, at points thrilling, uh, short. And it was just audio for the most part with some AI imagery and some photos and so on and so forth. But that one I really recommend if you're into like cryptids and urban legends and stuff like that. The third project that I'm going to be discussing in this video is the Third Law. And this is the one that I like the most. I like the Spider Gang. I could deal with out in the front of the Ritz Savoy, but this is the one that I would probably say that I like the most and I would recommend the most out of these three projects. To me, the production values were pretty solid for a relatively low budget project. There was some AI that was used, but I feel that it was used properly and rather effectively. The writing for this, honestly feel was quite good. And it really added to the authenticity and the overall feel and vibe of it being a legit true crime documentary. And I genuinely felt that the performances by the cast were, for the most part, pretty excellent. Chris J. Lara, in particular, who played the fictional Prophet Bomber, I really liked his performance. I felt it was a very a strong performance overall. And the rest of the cast did some good work as well. The two actors who played the two U.S. Marshals, and the other people that were interviewed throughout the documentary. And I personally found it to be rather compelling and consistently engaging for the most part, from beginning to end, because I was really captivated and drawn in when it comes to the story of this prophet bomber and his upbringing and why he decided to become this serial killer and his demented thought process and also how he was caught. And I could definitely tell that the writing was something that was not only a labor of love when it comes to this story, but it was also coming from a place of genuine knowledge when it comes to these kind of cases, when it comes to a serial killer or the hunt for a serial killer. And you could definitely see the influence when it comes to the case of Ted Kaczynski. So I really was, for the most part, drawn into this one. And I didn't have a problem with the structure like some of my other friends did. Like, I didn't really feel it lost anything when it comes to letting you know that the Prophet Bomber was caught from the very beginning. Because why else would the Prophet Bomber be talking to the camera if he wasn't already caught? So I don't really feel that that was necessarily an issue. Also, I don't think you needed to have footage of the bombings. It's a documentary about the Prophet Bomber, about his rise, about his fall, and ultimately about his capture. It's not really about the bombings themselves, so I don't really think that was necessary. Because, in all honesty, a lot of other crime documentaries that I've seen, they don't always go into the most detail when it comes to the kills or to the bombings, or they don't show the footage of the bombings. They don't necessarily do that most of the time, from what I've seen. Unless the documentary is focusing specifically on the murders or specifically on the bombings. But if it's focusing more on the backstory of the killer and their apprehension, then it's not really going to focus on that as much. And I think a reason for why that wasn't really detailed, or why that wasn't really something that was a prominent focus in this documentary, was because probably due to budget constraints. So I think the smarter idea was to just work around it, and I think it worked in the film's favor. I think if you like true crime documentaries, you're into the Ted Kaczynski case, uh, this is, in my opinion, well worth watching. But keep in mind, it's based on fiction. It's a fictional true crime documentary, but it's one of the better ones that I've seen when it comes to a true crime documentary that is not based on anything that actually happened, but it is very much inspired by real cases and real serial killers. Um, so yeah, I would recommend checking that one out if it sounds interesting to you. The other two, I think, are more of a if you really, really want to, or if they really sound like something that's up your alley. But the third law is the one that I would definitely give my highest recommendation for. But overall, I, for the most part, enjoyed and had at the very least a fair amount of fun with most of these projects and most of these films. Some I definitely liked more than others, but there wasn't one that I outright despised or I thought was terrible. So I definitely feel that uh, these guys they could use a little more eyes on their content, and I mean, if you look at the view counts, they're pretty paltry, and for everything that they put into these shorts or these projects, and the fact that the end result is actually not that bad. It's not just AI slop, even though AI is being utilized in some of these, and you can definitely see some talent here. Um, I would definitely be interested in seeing more from this channel, especially when it comes to these pseudo true crime documentaries or creepy pasta, urban legend kind of stories. Those are definitely something that I will keep an eye out for going forward. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on a trio of projects by Penalty of Death Productions. And until next time, I'll see you later. See ya.